I know you heard me on the radio. Flexing, she loved the sound of my voice, it's the best thing. Daydreaming of the jazz all day. Pick up the phone late night with Larry K. I know you heard me on the radio. Flexing, she loved the sound of my voice, it's the best thing. Daydreaming of the jazz all day. Pick up the phone late night with Larry K.
Fury fam, what's good, man? I just wanted to sit and talk to you guys. Obviously, we have a big game coming up this Sunday against Chicago on the road. Hopefully, we take care of business. I do predict that we take care of business, but I do not think it's going to be easy. I said that Wednesday on LG Shaking the Panel. You know our live shows every Wednesday at 7, and tune into that. And you know I'll probably talk to you this Sunday after the game. But I just wanted to hop on because there's been so much going on out in the media stratosphere regarding our quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa. And I just wanted to say a few things here. First thing is going to be directed at more, YouTubers and fans and people just commenting out there like me and you and whoever. Second thing I'm going to say is kind of directed towards the national media and actual, media figures on ESPN and NFL Network and et cetera, et cetera. So first of all, I just want to say that there's obviously a bunch of people out there who, you might have believed in Tua early and you had this faith in him. And at this juncture, some people, not all the people that love Tua, but some of the people out there are making it, kind of a vendetta where they're, just spending all their time talking about, oh, well, these people deserve, to give Tua an apology, and they were wrong all along, and ha, 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 and I'm keeping a list, I'm keeping receipts, I'm keeping names. And I've seen my name come up out there. Look, you can go back and watch my videos. Was I somebody who believed in Tua that much from the onset, given what I saw on the field and given some of the limitations that I thought he had? No, I was objective in saying that from what I was seeing, I was not that encouraged. But as last season went on, you could follow my trajectory. I became more and more a fan of Tua and more a fan of Tua's play until that Tennessee Titans game, where I think a lot of people who still have doubts or did have doubts or whatever hang their hat on that Tennessee game. And he faltered a bit. And from there, I did think that perhaps it might be an upgrade to go after a Deshaun Watson or somebody of that caliber, because Watson had proven it at that time and Tua had not proven it up to that point. But this channel, and how I am at least, I can't speak for any other YouTuber, any other Dolphins personality, any other podcaster in our realm here in the Miami Dolphins or NFL, universe. But I'm an objective thinker, and I've said that. As facts come in, I will change my opinion. I have seen Tua Tagovailoa take off and play magnificently. You can put me on the Tua train right now. And if it changes, it'll change, and I'll evolve. That's not me flip-flopping. That's me adjusting to the reality and to the facts as they come in. I am 100% on the Tua train right now, and I was since at least game 2 of this year. Even when he was a bit rusty against Pittsburgh, I stayed on the Tua train. I'm going to stay on the Tua train because he's playing brilliantly. But I will say that it was always the position of at least myself, several other people I would say too, including somebody like TD. We had always said that we were unsure about Tua's potential, but we wanted to be wrong. We wanted to be wrong because we were Miami Dolphins fans, and we would openly welcome and openly embrace Tua taking off and reaching his potential and being an upper echelon quarterback, because that would be good for the Dolphins. And you see now that virtually everybody who said that is embracing Tua, is happy that they were wrong. They made a mistake. People make mistakes. And they are openly embracing Tua as an upper echelon quarterback because it's great for the Miami Dolphins. I will openly say that my early takes on him, I don't think they were wrong in the sense that I was viewing something and made the wrong take. I'd say that I was wrong about this kid rising to his potential. I was wrong about how he would develop, and I'm sorry that I was wrong in that regard. And I do place him because his stats and numbers are putting him in the upper echelon right now. And as a Dolphins fan who was born in 1985, who's been a dedicated fan since the early 90s, I can tell you, especially for some of the younger folks who might not have experienced this team and the hype it's getting and the actual, aside from just the hype, but the actual potential that it has, is the first I felt this way since the 1990s. I have not felt this level of optimism, this level of encouragement, this level of, actual competitiveness, actually being a contender since the Dan Marino, Jimmy Johnson years in the 90s, okay? And so this is a great time for Dolphins fans. It's a great time for anybody. It's a great time for Tua fans. But I will say that if you're spending all your energy still just being hostile towards other fans and still just having this Tua argument rather than embracing everything for the good of the team, then maybe it was you that was the problem. I've always said I wanted Tua to do well because that's good for being a Dolphins fan. And I'm happily moving off of any prior position that involved Tua not being up to snuff or whatever. So that's for the YouTube stratosphere of things. But speaking of Tua being upper echelon, I want to discuss the national media now. There's these crazy narratives going on right now. And what it amounts to is people, unlike me, people moving the goalposts on this young man. Just absolutely changing and moving the goalposts on this young man. First, it was said that Tyreek Hill, remember all the thing, Tyreek Hill's going to go from Mahomes to Tua, and he's going to regret it because his numbers are going to go down, and he's not going to perform as well, And then it's, Tua, he's going to need everything to be perfect around him to succeed. And now all of a sudden, he is succeeding. And they're saying, it's only because of these weapons that he's succeeding. And when they say, well, do the Dolphins have potential to go to the Super Bowl? People are saying, well, Mahomes is better, Allen's better, everybody's better. Somebody on one of the talk shows, it could have been Keyshawn Johnson, actually had the audacity to say that Justin Fields, he would rather build a team around Justin Fields than build a team around Tua Tagovailoa. I'm not sure if that was Keyshawn. It might have been somebody. One of these morning shows, Keyshawn's been hating too. He says, look, the Dolphins do have potential now. I have to acknowledge it. Tua's playing better. I have to acknowledge it. But I still don't believe the Dolphins are going anywhere. So now the narrative has shifted to he can't do it. He's going to kill Tyreek's numbers to, well, he's only doing well because Tyreek's around him and I still don't believe in him. And number one on that narrative that I take issue with is, okay, if Mahomes was such a superior quarterback to Tua, then how come Tyreek, even with Waddle opposite him, is on pace to shatter records that he did not shatter when Mahomes was throwing the ball to him? Now, I'm not sitting here trying to tell you that Tua is better than Mahomes. What I'm trying to tell you is Tua has the potential, based on what we're seeing this year, to be at the level of Mahomes, to surpass him. He's not done it yet. Mahomes is the better quarterback right now. You have to prove things in this league. You have to prove things in this game. He hasn't proven it yet, but sitting there acting like it's a done deal, like it's indisputable fact that Tua is not as good as somebody like that and will never be. I don't understand when the man's putting up these numbers. He's got the highest Q quarterback rating. He's got a high percentage of throws over 20 yards in general. He's averaging more yards per throw than a lot of quarterbacks in this league. For people who said he couldn't throw the deep ball, he couldn't throw it down the field, he had a weak arm. That's all been disproven. So what I'm saying is, while I'm sitting up here saying I had concerns, they've been ameliorated, they've been alleviated, I can see it for what it is. You have these national media folks who just keep moving the goalposts because they can't acknowledge what they're seeing and they have to keep making excuses. And one of the interesting things about the commentators specific to this sport that I've noticed is, once some team is ingrained, or once some narrative or or constant is ingrained in these people, it takes several seasons for them to move off of it. Does anybody remember even when the Patriots were not playing that well without Tom Brady, were not that good, even in Brady's more down years towards the end of his Patriots tenure, they would still say, well, you got Bill Belichick and you got the Patriots, and when the Patriots are coming up, they would still put the Patriots as like a top 5 team, even when they were not one. And it took them years to get off that narrative. This is really the first year I've seen them get off the Patriots narrative. Last year, if you remember, they were still saying Mac Jones was so great and he was the next protege and the next prospect and the Patriots were the next still great team because they still weren't off the Patriots train. And this year, you see them acknowledging the Eagles because you can't ignore them because of their record, but dismissing the Dolphins, and now they've embraced the Bills. And the Bills, let's be honest, even as a Dolphins fan, I think it's obvious, and I'm not saying the Dolphins can't beat them because they did beat them. And by the way, they beat them with a damaged secondary. I don't want to hear that from Bills fans anymore because we are now playing on our 6th and 7th cornerback in our secondary, and we lost our star, one of our star safeties, and we're still playing, and we're still winning. So I don't want to hear the whole thing about, the secondary was banged up. I do think losing your starting quarterback is a lot worse of an issue. I don't think if Josh Allen was out for 3 games that the Bills necessarily are going to win those 3 games. We lost Tua for 3 games. And by the way, speaking of the Tua conversation, when he starts and finishes a game, the Dolphins have not lost a game. So just put that in perspective too. But these people have such a hard time getting off narrative. So now they love the Bills, which I understand. It's fine to love the Bills. The Bills are a very good team. And it took them a long time to embrace the Bills, too, when they got good. But every conversation says, well, you got the Bills, then you got the Chiefs, then you got Baltimore, then you got Miami. Where is this Chiefs are a good team. They're a recent Super Bowl winner. But they weren't in the Super Bowl last year. And I know Cincinnati's not looking great this year, but Cincinnati gets no credit. They went to the Super Bowl last year. They get no credit. They're just all the way down because they're stuck on this age-old narrative that Baltimore and the Chiefs have to be better than everybody else. And Miami, despite the numbers they're putting up, despite the promise they're showing, can't be at that level. And now the narrative becomes, well, Miami, they just can't play in cold weather. They won't be able to play in cold weather. So Miami's okay, but I won't give Miami a chance when they got to go to Kansas City, go to Buffalo. It's one thing you say Miami's got to go to Buffalo because Buffalo is indisputably a damn good team. So are the Chiefs. But to just assume we're going to lose to the Chiefs and assume we're going to even play in Kansas City, I don't know that that's necessarily accurate, and I find it disturbing that they keep having to dismiss this team and dismiss this quarterback and dismiss this kid because they just can't get around to embracing it because they're so stuck on their nonsense from the last couple of years. And the other narrative that I've been seeing come out this week about Tua is he gets asked a question in a press conference, because everybody else is hyping them up for the Super Bowl. And let me just say something right now, even though I'm having this conversation. Let me just say something really quickly. I am not saying I think we are going to the Super Bowl this year. Now, I would love it. I hope we do. But I am not predicting nor saying we go to the Super Bowl. I think we still have, with these injuries, a lot of question marks. I do think, just for the record, it's going to be tough for us to go on the road through the whole playoffs. And I still want to see this team play the way I think it can in cold weather later in the regular season before I even think about the playoffs. And that remains to be seen. But Tua gets asked a question, and it says, there's a lot of hype now that you've traded, now that you have this pass rusher and you have all these other weapons. Do you think about, and do you feel like you're a team that can contend for the Super Bowl? Now, he can answer that question 3 ways. He can either say, no, I don't think we're contenders for the Super Bowl. That would be a stupid thing to say, and he would be ridiculed for saying that. Tua doesn't believe in himself. Tua downplays. Tua loses the respect of his teammates. Tua destroys team morale. Any way you want to spin that, so he can't say that. He could say, well, I'm not really thinking about that. I'm just moving on to the next game. You could say that's acceptable, but it's boring. It's not honest. It's nonsense. It's what every coach, every player always says. It doesn't generate anything. Or you could say, you know what? Yeah, from jump, I believe in this team. I believe in me. I believe in our chances. I always think the goal is, when you start training camp, the goal is to go to the Super Bowl. Otherwise, why are we playing the game? Why are we suiting up? Why are we going to practice? Yeah, I think we can contend. I've always thought we can contend. Now that our record's looking like we certainly can get in the playoffs, I think we can contend. I believe in us. That's all he said. He didn't come out and start saying, we're going to the Super Bowl market. He didn't say, I guarantee a win. He didn't say, oh, watch out for us. We're Super Bowl bound. He didn't say any of that. But the media is taking it and running with it. I saw Keyshawn Johnson. Man, Keyshawn Johnson, he's just a Fins hater, man. He was a Jet through and through. He's still a Jet through and through. He even said, like, in the last 2 days, I still remember kicking y'all head in when I played Miami. He's a Jet, okay? But he said, I don't know why Tua's talking about the Super Bowl. You don't start talking about the Super Bowl this early. But Tua didn't go out of his way and initiate conversation on the Super Bowl. The media prompted him, and now they want to kill him over it. It's interesting, and I do understand some of the frustrations of big Tua supporters, because it seems like no matter what this kid does, they're going to find a reason to downplay this kid. But if you watch him throw the ball, and one of the things I said last season, when he after the Tennessee loss, I went back and looked at some of the wins where he played, and everybody's hanging their hat on, well, Tua has a winning record. We need Tua to win. We only beat Baltimore because he came in last year, blah, 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 blah. So I went back and looked at the highlights last year after we lost to Tennessee to see, was Tennessee just a blip and Tua's really been great all year? And I wasn't overly impressed with those highlights last year. Even the highlights I wasn't overly impressed with. I wasn't that impressed with the film. But this year, go watch the film. Go watch some highlights. Go watch what he's done this year. Go watch. Even at games where he hasn't been, on fire the entire game. He makes beautiful throws when it's most needed against Buffalo. Even against New England. He had a heck of a throw against New England. For that touchdown. I forgot all about that touchdown on 4th down to Waddle. I forgot all about it. I mean, he was brilliant in certain plays, even when his game overall is not brilliant this year. This year, it is impressive. And I think it's an actual insult to say, Fields, I'm not taking anything away from Fields, but the kid is just getting his legs wet. He's just starting to run a bit. Team is not very good. And you're saying you'd rather build a team around him? Like, at what point, yes, it's chicken or the egg, right? Tua, the quarterback, should be able to elevate the play of those around him, and those around him should be able to elevate his play. It's chicken or the egg, right? Was Bill Belichick a great coach, or was Tom Brady a great quarterback? I think the jury's starting to show that Tom Brady was a better quarterback than Bill Belichick was a coach. But I still think Brady was in a good situation with a good coach, and vice versa. That's how the world works, right? It's where you are, it's your talent, but then having, it's opportunities, but having the propensity, the talent, and being in a position to capitalize on your opportunities that define a legacy. Not only are Waddle and Hill elevating the play of Tua, Tua's elevating the play of Waddle and Hill. Hill is on pace to break a record. The two of them as a tandem have already racked up more yards than any other tandem in NFL history up to this point in the season. That includes the most prolific quarterbacks in NFL history. And yes, you can go back to Dan Marino, who played in an era where it wasn't favorable, so it was even harder for him. But you can also go back to the 2000s and all these prolific passers, including Patrick Mahomes, including Peyton Manning, and these receivers have outdone them. Is it just because of this core? Yeah, this is a great tandem, but they need somebody to throw them the ball. And you can't tell me that Skylar Thompson, who played decently, or Teddy Bridgewater, who played okay, you can't tell me that they did what Tua's doing, because they didn't. And you can't tell me that Tua's out there just throwing knuckleballs and these guys are just taking it out of thin air and all getting yards after the catch. No, Tua's throwing beautiful footballs to these guys. There's 3 parts to that equation. There's the 2 receivers, then there's Tua. And by the way, Mike Gesicki and some of these other guys, Craig Kraft, are getting some nice passes thrown to them too. So Tua deserves a lot more credit than he's getting in the media, and so do the Dolphins. And so just like kind of mid-season, I wanted to touch on some of these things because there are still haters out there. But you won't really find them in the Miami Dolphins fan base. You won't really find haters in the Miami Dolphins podcast or YouTube space. You're going to find them in the national media because they are hating on us. What we can do is stop fighting amongst each other about who was right, who was wrong, this and that. Just get together because we all are being objective now. We all see the potential. We're all behind this kid if you have a brain. And we're all thinking we got potential. Now, whether we capitalize on that or not remains to be seen. But it's interesting that the media wants to go off on these tangents and do these things and say these things, and they're going to keep moving the goalpost no matter what. Next time they were mad we beat the Bills was only because the secondary was out. If we beat somebody else on the road or we win the division or we win a playoff game, they're going to have some excuse for that too. But that's also part of the stratosphere. It's not because they personally hate Miami. Although I do think there's some animosity towards Miami because of 72, because of Stephen Ross in general. He's not a very, palatable personality. We all know that. But I think once we start winning, like if we got to a Super Bowl, if we won a couple playoff games, then we would be the ones that are unbeatable, and any other team that challenges us, they're going to try to dismiss or whatever. It takes time, and we've been on the losing end for a long time. But I did just want to speak and say, like, stop disrespecting this dude. This dude is showing out. This dude is balling out. I said I would admit it if he balled out. I said I would be happy and I would get behind him if he balled out. I'm doing that. It's time for some of these national personalities to do it, and some of them already are, and that's why these other guys are fighting it, because some people are saying, hey, they're looking good. Tua's looking good. They're looking like Super Bowl contenders. So some of the other guys are pushing back. So it's not like the entire national media is against us. Rich Eisen, by the way, said Tua was elite. A lot of other commentators are saying we are, Super Bowl contenders. Dan Orlovsky has said good things too. I mean, it's not like it's everybody, but some people, Chris Canty, these people just want to come out and move the goalposts, and it's a shame. But, go watch some of this stuff out in the stratosphere. And look, I just wanted to sit here and say from the midway season, Tua is balling out. That's my verdict. Not only is he balling out, he looks like he's got the potential to be. And that's the other thing. Potential to be, when I'm talking about potential, I mean like over the course of several seasons to be recognized as one of the top quarterbacks in the league. He's got potential to do that. But make no mistake, this season alone, if you're just this season in a vacuum, he is one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league. He is an upper echelon quarterback this season. Can he sustain and do it for several seasons and then elevate himself in NFL lore and history? We will see. Does he have the potential to do it? You're damn right he does. You're damn right he does. And you're lying to yourself if you're watching what's going on now and still telling yourself that it's a fluke, that it's not true. So let's see how he continues to progress. But as of right now, he's one of the better quarterbacks in the league, and it's not even a question. So this idea you'd rather build your team around Justin Fields, Miami has no chance, Tua's not that good, he's not as good. Throw that out. He already beat Josh Allen. By the way, when he beat Josh Allen was throwing it at the ground. And they want to say, oh, Josh Allen threw it at the ground for a game-winning touchdown. He won't do that again. Okay, maybe he will, maybe he won't. But when it was Allen versus Tua, and Allen had to make a throw to win the game, he threw it in the dirt. And when Tua had to make a throw on 3rd down and long to win the game, he threw a bomb to Jalen Waddle and then won the game. So head-to-head, he's already beat him. So you can say whatever the hell you want. He's already beat him once. Now, they're going to go back at it again. And we'll see who wins the next one. But you can't just sit there and say without a doubt that Allen's better when he already beat Allen. When there was throws to be made, Allen missed, he made them. What are you going to say? Well, Allen won't always miss and Tua won't always make it? Well, we'll see, won't we? I'm sorry I'm charged up, but like this, I've been watching stuff all week on this Tua situation, and I just find it interesting. I find it to be an interesting conversation. Anyway, guys, let's go Fins on Sunday. Let's take care of business against the Bears. Don't think it's going to be easy, because it won't, okay? Fields is playing all right. They're at home. They're hungry. They don't want to, be pushed around. It's going to be a little chilly, but it'll be nice up there. There's no NFL game that's for granted. Look at the Eagles last night against Houston. They almost didn't win that game in the middle of that game. Let's not take any game for granted. You can't. Don't do it. You're going to shatter your dreams if we lose or get in a close one. But let's take care of business against Chicago. If you guys are watching this content, if you have come across this channel before, if you've seen me before, if you just like football content or Miami Dolphins content in general, scroll right below me right now. Scroll right below me and smash the subscribe button. Just click the subscribe button, click the like button, share the video, click the super thanks button. We need all the help we can get trying to keep this podcast rolling. Any little bit of money, a couple cents, anything helps. But most importantly, smash the subscribe button. We are trying to keep this channel growing, expand Fury Fam, and keep it rolling. But until I talk to you guys Sunday, fins up.
I know you heard me on the radio flexing. She loved the sound of my voice, it's the best thing. Daydreaming of the jazz all day. Pick up the phone late night with Larry K. I know you heard me on the radio